And there is some kind of process of descent with modification going on. Now, from that creationist account, which is the second main explanation, we would put some kind of God or a supreme intelligence and designer at the top of the whole system, but he's not popping everything into existence at once. He's using a process which may involve extraterrestrial contacts as part of it. And the whole thing has been going on for hundreds of millions of years, so that if we want to untangle our history, we may have to be dealing with all three of these.
Isn't there some danger, though, in drawing from each one of the separate hypotheses that you will almost surely then get some part of it wrong?
Well, we want to look at what the evidence actually suggests. And, of course, we could discuss that, but there is evidence for extraterrestrial contacts. There is evidence for some kind of supreme designing intelligence.
Okay, Michael, let us say that it is so, that our beginnings were extraterrestrial in origin, and that there is some part of evolution that's in play as well. In other words, they started this, but we are evolving or devolving, depending on how you look at it, and that's some sort of natural process. I'm not quite clear on the creator part of it. In other words, you feel there was some sort of creator even beyond our extraterrestrial parentage.
In a higher spiritual dimension, starting the whole thing off. Right. And this supreme intelligent being would be the source of what we would call a cosmic hierarchy of beings, which if you look at what people have thought and taught down through history, they pretty much have this hierarchy where you have human beings on the terrestrial level, more powerful types of beings on a middle level, a celestial level, you might call it. If you go back to the time of the Egyptians, for example, they had their gods. The Romans, the Greeks, the Australian Aboriginals, the American Indians, they all had this hierarchy of human beings and then beings a little bit higher on the hierarchy with greater powers.
Yes.
What evidence is there for that? I think we get in where that evidence comes from. The physical evidence that we can see is the sort of thing that Linda Howe was talking about.
That's exactly where I was going.
A little bit earlier. This is showing physical evidence for creatures a little bit higher up.
Okay, is that, in your opinion, evidence, then, that those who created us of extraterrestrial origin continue to monitor not just us, but the animals and all of their creations here on Earth?
Yes, this process of descent with modification, as far as we can see, it involved a supreme being operating through these other creatures. You could call them extraterrestrials, angels, demigods, spirits, whatever you want to call them, but there is some process involved. It's not an instantaneous creation in the beginning. There is some kind of descent with modification going on, some kind of, you could call it, consciously directed genetic engineering of some kind, but it's not the type that the scientists are currently telling us about, because that's a purely random, accidental process.
Michael, then who was Jesus?
Oh, I think he would be one of the, if you look at what all cultures and traditions have said, in this cosmic hierarchy you find a level of compassionate beings who come from time to time from their higher level, wherever it is, to come and spread knowledge about these higher things to the people on this planet.
So he was some sort of angel? Convenient word, or would you use another?
Yeah, a compassionate being, the Buddhas, the Christ. There have been, this is a very common theme in practically every culture and religion.
This compassionate being, angel, whatever. Then what are all his teachings? How do you deal with those? How do you deal with the Bible? I'm going to ask you before my audience does.
Oh, well, I think in the Bible you definitely have the picture of this cosmic hierarchy. You have the supreme being on top. You have various categories of angels. You look in the first parts of Genesis, you have apparently some descriptions of some extraterrestrial contacts with Earth, and even some of these beings mating with terrestrial humans. Seeing the daughters of the earth as being fair and having them as wives.
Okay, so you find support for all of this then in the Bible.
Oh, and not just in the Bible. As I said, if you look through the Jewish Kabbalah, you will also find this cosmic hierarchy. You'll find it in the ancient Sanskrit writings of India. If you look at the Egyptians, the Aztecs, the American Indians, the Australian Aboriginals, you will see basically the same pattern. And I think this is very significant, that all of these people in different times, in different places, talking about the same pattern, the same cosmic hierarchy. What that tends to suggest is that they are contemplating something real. Now, they may be contemplating it from slightly different perspectives, but they're looking at the same thing, it would appear to me.
Well, how could they have gotten it that wrong? I mean, Jesus viewed himself the Son of God.
Oh, Son of God that's fine.
That's fine?
Yes. I think he would have said, we're all sons of God. Of course, he's a very special one, being given so much power to teach about these things on this planet.
Well, I'm sure there are a lot of people who would sort of take you on. I mean, an awful lot of what's in the Bible is very specific and would not at all jive with Michael Cremo, right?
Oh, I'm sure there are those who will want to take a view like that. I'm sure there are others who will be able to appreciate the similarities between what you might find in one book of knowledge and another.
All right, Michael, do species come and go? In other words, do we have species that, in effect, exit the Earth, as it is said dinosaurs have done? I think you argue with that, don't you?
From what it appears to us, if you look at various sources, be it physical evidence, writings of different ancient civilizations, it would appear that no species really goes extinct. It will always be existing somewhere, either on this planet or perhaps some other in some other part of the universe. Now, you did mention the dinosaurs, and it's quite interesting that although the standard scientific doctrine is that these creatures are extinct, there are people even today, some very competent researchers, who say they appear to still be living in some parts of this planet.
Where?
For example, there have been sightings of dinosaur-like creatures in Africa, in the Congo region. There's quite a huge body of literature about that. Not very well known, but you have, for example, some French researchers have published a very massive book about these sightings.
All right. We're going to hold it right there, Michael. We're at the top of the hour, and we will soon get the telephone lines open. And I feel as though I ought to have a special dinosaur line, just in case anybody's got a line on a dinosaur out there. Fascinating. He suggests, indeed, they have been spotted possibly in the Congo. I had no idea. All right, we're going to break here at the top of the hour, and we'll be back. Michael Cremo is my guest. His book, The Hidden History of the Human Race. And indeed, it is very different than I have imagined. We'll be back with more. You're listening to the CBC Radio Network. Again, I am here. And very good evening to you all. This is Dreamland. My guest is Michael Cremo. Michael has an intriguing theory, or actually he feels it's a lot more than theory, and we're going to get to some of the evidence here shortly. He's written a book called The Hidden History of the Human Race, and apparently quite a hit it is. Some of the evidence coming up. And Michael, just before we get into the evidence aspect, I've got a couple of faxes here that I would like to ask you about. One is from a great faxer named Doc Barry down in Phoenix. And the question is, how does the immortal soul theory fit into the author's cosmic hierarchy theory?
It fits in very well. That would be a big part of it. And I would say the physical evidence for that would come in the form of the medical reports, well-documented medical reports of the out-of-body experiences, the near-death experiences, and also transmigration or reincarnation memories, such as those studied by Dr. Ian Stevenson, who's a psychiatrist at the University of Virginia. You know, he studied thousands of cases of small children who report past life memories. Now, children, they can't go to the library and make up a very elaborate past life story. These children tend to report very ordinary past lives, and he's been able to document the previous incarnation of these children in hundreds of cases.
I too find children to be very, very credible in these areas. All right, I hate to rush you, but we've got to do that. Here's another one. Is it possible that life has been brought to this planet numerous times, and like plant hot, we keep dying as a species? Our sponsors, the ETs, I guess, may not want to waste a perfectly good planet and have continued to recycle this place for millions of years. Good theory?
Well, the part, I don't know that I could agree with every detail of it, but the first part that was mentioned, that we've got multiple origins on this planet. We didn't come just once. It's an ongoing process. That is something that I fully agree with, and I think the evidence supports it, especially if you look down through history at what different peoples have reported. You get a lot of evidence of different extraterrestrial contacts, different descents of human species on this planet, and I think that's very well supported by the evidence.
And that's a good place to break into evidence. If I were to ask you, Michael, what is your best evidence? What is the evidence that supports your theory that man, along with other creatures on the planet, have been around so long? Give me the best stuff you've got. What would you give me?
Right. And I think we really have to pay this attention to this evidence, because if we're going to an alternative explanation to the evolutionary doctrine that is now so dominant, we have to show that evidence is not, that theory is not supported by the evidence. Otherwise, why even talk about these alternatives? So let's look at some discoveries that were made by some California gold miners back in the gold rush days. They were digging tunnels thousands of feet into solid rock in the sides of mountains. Now, I've talked with geologists in the state of California, and they say that this rock in these mountains is at least 10 million and as much as 50 million years old. Now, inside these tunnels, these miners were finding human skeletons. They were finding obsidian spear points. They were finding all kinds of human artifacts. These were collected together by a man named J.D. Whitney, who was the state geologist of California at the time, and he wrote a massive book about them, which was published by Harvard University.